Hi, America! It's me, Max! Remember, a vote for me is a vote for prosperity, alacrity, and the tyranny of my furry white iron fist. Thank you.
Democracy? I will make you all my hypnotic slaves!
November of 2006 was a long time ago. Crytek was teasing people with Crysis, Arcane came out with Dark Messiah, and CA came out with Medieval 2. Among all of these games, Telltale Games, a new studio, released the first episode of Sam & Max Season 1. Back then I wasn't really into point-and-click adventure games, and I hadn't played the previous game, Sam & Max Hit the Road.
Max, where should I put this so it doesn't hurt anyone we know or care about?
Out the window, Sam. There's nothing but strangers out there.
I hope there was nobody on that bus.
Nobody we know, at least.
But I ended up trying it out and liking it to such an extent that I later got myself a Telltale account and bought their sequels and other game franchises. Now 14 years later, it puts me in an odd spot, as Telltale has gone bankrupt, and I think there is some lessons to be learned from this about buying games through developer-specific sites, but let's ignore that. Sam & Max combined with Half-Life and Sin were the first examples of episodic gaming that I encountered, and I find it a little bit funny that both Sam & Max and Half-Life later got revived as VR games after a very long hiatus. As I don't own a VR device, this was kind of a disappointment to me, and so it was a pleasant surprise when I learned that the Sam & Max games would get the remaster, and I ended up getting it on the release day.
This feels oddly familiar.
Like all remasters that I care about, there ended up being a controversy, but I will save that to later, after I have talked about the remaster and the base game. When it comes to the remastering, there are very noticeable improvements when it comes to the visuals.
Hiya, Sam!
Good news, Max. I think I just gave birth to a bouncing baby hernia.
Hiya! I got it! Ow!
Hello. Yes, Commissioner? Holy cap-wearing catfish flopping a crime beat. We're on our way.
Hiya, Sam!
Good news, Max. I think I just gave birth to a bouncing baby hernia.
Hiya! I got it! Ow!
Hello. Yes, Commissioner? Holy cap-wearing catfish flopping a crime beat. We're on our way.
You have widescreen resolutions, it is no longer capped at weird 48 FPS, and the game looks nice and sharp in the way that you expect things to look nowadays. The audio has also been improved, which even I noticed when I compared it with my old copy. But I think it is partly due to some strange audio issues that I am facing with the old version, which I guess is another good reason for the remastering.
You don't feel uncomfortable getting a case first and then being a witness for it? You don't feel uncomfortable getting a case first and then being a witness for it?
There are also some quality of life features added, like object highlighting and being able to run in the larger areas. All in all, I think they have successfully managed to bring the game into the modern age, and I don't think that new players to the series will be missing anything that they have come to expect from modern point-and-click adventure games. If we get back to the base game, then you are playing as the duo Sam and Max.
Have no fear, simple citizens. The freelance police are here to keep the peace.
Violently, if possible. You called?
Throughout the 6 episodes, they will investigate a number of different cases related to a hypnosis conspiracy.
I smell a conspiracy.
And you will do the usual adventure game stuff.
I think we need these binoculars more than Bosco does.
Not really.
Well, no. These incessant rationalizations for our questionable tactics do not, in all honesty, have much merit to them, and yet there remains a very real compulsion to say them.
He doesn't really need the binoculars anyway.
Yeah, right.
Right,
Okay,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
sure, okay.
If we start with the good stuff, then the main duo is very likable and put a lot of charm into the game. The dialogues are well written, often pulls off being funny, and they are supported with good voice acting.
He's curtailing civil liberties, threatening the environment,
Hey, that makes 3 of us.
and he's about to introduce mandatory gun registration.
Get the keys.
The music in the game is also great, and he also manages to include a couple of musical numbers, which I am a big fan of.
Oh, what is it good for? It's good for you. It's good for me. Oh, war. Oh, what is it good for? Oh, it strengthens the economy. All lengthy battles and incumbents dream, because it can't change horses in midstream. For bombs and guns and so much more, we celebrate the joys of war, war, war. For bombs and guns and so much more, we celebrate the joys of war.
Well,
Let's not do that again.
The puzzles in the game are often on a reasonable level, and I managed to figure out almost all of them on my own, without the help of any guide. This most likely means that they are a little bit on the easy side, but hey, some games need to cater to the dummies as well.
before we try physical violence, Max, let's try dazzling the man with our razor-sharp wit and labyrinthine logical conundrums.
Ah, emotional violence. Good plan.
If we now get to the bad parts, then the story is up there. The overarching narrative in the season is weak, to say the least. This is both in terms of the main plot,
Great thundering jellyfish on the squishy road to mayhem. Hypnosis.
Yep, that's what I said.
the side characters, and also the structure of the narrative. The episodic stories are connected to each other via the main hypnosis theme, but they feel completely disjointed, and there is no overall narrative arc tying them all together. The conclusion is also a letdown, and the main villain is fairly uninteresting. In terms of characters, with the exception of the main duo, they are not very interesting, and little happens to them. Sybil, Bosco and Jimmy, they are okay at best, and they don't have any narrative arcs throughout the season or anything that makes them grow as a character. And then we have the structure of the narrative, which is also held down by the episodic format. They reuse the same narrative structure with Sam and Max investigating some hypnosis case where they have to buy one expensive item from Bosco and make use of Sybil's new job in some strange way. It is always the same and it's not very interesting. And sadly, this episodic format also impacts the rest of the game. There is a thin line between comfy familiarity and cheap recycling of content, and Sam & Max Season 1 clearly falls into the latter category. Perhaps you are meant to play each episode a month apart, but playing them side by side, the similarities are just too much. With all of this being said, I still think that the main duo manages to carry the game, and I would definitely recommend it to fans of the genre, despite its flaws.
I believe in the ideal of a global community, where America is but a small part. We must set aside our differences and work with our fellow nations, all united towards one goal: the complete and utter annihilation of the godless Belgians.
I guess it is time for me to talk about the controversy now.
This can only end in violence.
They decided to change the voice actor of Bosco. The reasoning seems to be that they wanted a black voice actor to voice the black character. While recording with the new actor, they decided to make some small changes to the script to remove some jokes. As you can expect, a lot of people are not happy with that, especially as they claimed that all the jokes would be left untouched. To start with, I think that the new voice actor does a good job, and I wouldn't have reacted to the change of voice actor unless someone told me about it.
Hey, Bosco.
Nice flapjack!
Son of Cordon Bleu! Who is this, Bosco? Hey guys, it's me, Bosco!
No!
But you may call me Jean-François Sissy-Pants, the cowardly French anarchist.
Hey, Bosco.
Nice flapjack!
Son of Cordon Bleu, who is this Bosco? Hey guys, it's me, Bosco.
No!
But you may call me Jean-François Bandepart, the new French anarchist.
In terms of the removed jokes, in the grand scheme of things, very few lines were actually altered, and I wouldn't have noticed them myself. With that being said, I personally don't understand why they decided to recast the voice actor, and I can understand why die-hard fans would react to that. And to state the obvious, they shouldn't claim to have left all the jokes alone if they do decide to censor them. The jokes in question also seems very tame to me, so I don't understand the whole situation at all, and I find the whole thing very unnecessary, and I think that the developers have certainly only themselves to blame. With that said, some fans are taking it a bit too far, and I do find it a little bit tiresome that this topic makes it impossible to discuss the rest of the game. Myself, I have long since come to the realization that if I would stick to my principles, then I wouldn't be able to play that many games in this industry. You need to pick your battles, and this battle is not the one that I personally rank the highest. Each to their own, of course. I would like to mention that they have made other decisions that I believe are kind of pro-consumer, and people shouldn't forget about this. With all of this out of the way, I hope that they continue to remaster the second season as well, and who knows, perhaps they will even end up making a new game in the series. That would be nice.
Patience is a sharp razor to swallow, little buddy.